Law and Justice deputies are demanding an immediate full embargo on agri-food products from Ukraine.
Żądamy.
We demand from the Tusk government, from the 13th of December coalition, that today it introduce a bill that will effectively embargo all agricultural products imported from Ukraine. In turn, the International Trade Committee in the European Parliament, to which Civic Platform belongs, supported the extension of trade liberalisation with Ukraine.
It's not difficulties, it's a disaster, and it's not local. This is throughout the Europe. So your language will not change the reality. We have to stop it to be able to help Ukraine in many other ways. If you want to help Ukraine, send weapons. I'm talking to Germans. Send weapons, be active.
Traffic junctions, access to railway transshipment stations and seaports will be blocked. Traffic will be stopped, for example, at the entrance to the A2 highway in the Skierniewice junction or the S17 road, and at 4 places tractors will block border crossings with Ukraine: Hrebene, Medyka, Kurchowa and Dorowsk. Border crossings will be blocked because all the evil is there. We pointed out last year that grain arrives illegally, that it is uncontrolled. The current rulers said they have solutions for this. They came to power and don't have those solutions either. NSZZ of Individual Farmer Solidarity stresses that the struggle is not only about Polish agriculture, but also about food security for all Poles. The uncontrolled influx of agri-food products from Ukraine and the assumptions of the European Union's Green Deal are hitting the agricultural sector directly, making it no longer profitable for farmers to produce. And it will get worse. There should be action by the government. The ministry must do something about this phantom. The situation is really difficult. So much conflict that the farmers said there will be a blockade and tracks may be dismantled so that nothing enters Poland here. In response to the blockades of border crossings, Ukrainians have also announced protests at 3 border crossings, and they are expected to last until the 15th of March. Products that enter here do not really come from Ukrainian farmers, but from agro-holdings. They are Americans, Germans, Western countries. At the end of January, the European Commission worked out guidelines for extending the trade agreement with Ukraine, which means importing agricultural products into Europe duty-free until the middle of next year. Poland is the country which, because of its location, suffers the most. Farmers are also opposed to the assumptions of the European Green Deal, which burdens agriculture with further costs, in addition to assuming a reduction in the area of cultivated fields. This could be a bit of a people's spring. European Union commissioners may be scared off by parliamentary elections. That's why the protests covered not only Poland. In early February, Brussels was paralysed. In recent weeks, tractors have blocked roads in Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Greece, the Czech Republic and Hungary. Farmers from European Union countries must comply with a number of restrictions, such as restrictions on the use of pesticides. Farmers outside the community no longer face such restrictions. There is a great need for a large information campaign aimed at the Ukrainian public, which needs to know why protests are taking place in Poland, because it is not against the Ukrainian people, but against the companies of the oligarchs whose income does not feed the Ukrainian budget at all. Polish farmers will meet European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen in Brussels on Thursday as part of the European Organisation of Agricultural Trade Unions, COPA-COGECA. Łukasz Smuda, Republic Television.
Europejskie superpaństwo, czy też siła Paktu Północnoatlantyckiego?
A European superstate or the power of the North Atlantic Pact? Which way will Polish foreign policy go? Radosław Sikorski's objections to Donald Trump's words about the need to spend 2% of GDP on the military are becoming louder and louder. Which way will our foreign policy go? Today I'm checking.
Zbrojenie na armię, tylko że to nie jest problem Polski. Jak w takim razie będzie wyglądała nasza polityka zagraniczna? Dzisiaj sprawdzam.
Putin kills whoever he wants, be it an opposition leader or anyone else who seems at the target exactly to him. After the murder of Alexei Navalny, it's absurd to perceive Putin as a supposedly legitimate head of a Russian state. And he is the thug who maintains power through corruption and violence.
Security was the theme of the 60th edition of one of the world's most important global security conferences, held from February the 16th to the 18th in Munich. According to both NATO members and leaders, to ensure it, funding is the foundation. NATO requires member states to spend 2% of their GDP on armaments.
So, of course, we have the United States as a nuclear power, we have France and UK, but the idea of developing some kind of parallel joint nuclear deterrent among some NATO allies, not including the United States, and presumably then not the UK either. That's not helpful, and it will only undermine a nuclear deterrent that has worked well for many, many years.
Generating fear that the United States could withdraw from Europe and not respond, according to NATO's Article 5, if Russia attacked an allied country. That is something in which Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski was also involved when he negatively referred to Donald Trump's statement, strongly condemning countries that don't pay their fair share for defence. Our greatest need in this time is to ensure that Europe does not remain defenceless, even in the case that the United States should be preoccupied somewhere else. In the era of Putin's aggression against Ukraine, and in the era of the recent statements made by a presidential candidate in the United States, it's about time for us to take European defence seriously. However, in this era of Russian aggression against Ukraine and Vladimir Putin's criminal policies against his political opponents, is increased spending on the military really such a bad idea? What is the state of European militaries today? Most militaries in Europe are struggling with financial problems, with personnel issues. In Germany, for example, there is nobody in this completely barren military, which is now having serious problems with recruitment, is taking in migrants and people from all over the world into its ranks. Well, I think that such an army won't be taken too seriously. So is it a good idea to move away from the United States and bet on the European military? This year, even Germany is talking about the need for reinvestment.
Effective deterrence is our life insurance. For me, deterrence has at least 3 dimensions. First and foremost, money. We need the resources to invest in deterrence. I am proud to say that this year we will spend over 2% of our GDP on defense in Germany. I am also realistic enough to see that this might not be enough in the years to come.
So it can be safe to say that at this time, at least, loosening our alliance with the United States could be extremely dangerous. Editor Holdinska, Republic Television. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson was in Warsaw today to visit his Polish counterpart Donald Tusk. The main topic of discussion was Sweden's accession into the NATO alliance. The Swedish Prime Minister said that he looked forward to meeting his Hungarian counterpart Viktor Orban and for Sweden becoming a member of NATO, following signals that Hungary could ratify Sweden's application this month. Together with the Swedish Prime Minister, we have taken important steps to restore confidence. We are going in the direction that at the start of Parliament's spring session, we will ratify Sweden's accession to NATO. He mentioned that he has had a few conversations with Viktor Orban this week and that he looks forward to a meeting with him this week and that he looks forward to Sweden's NATO accession. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that it was unacceptable that Hungary should block Sweden's bid and urged for it to be swiftly ratified.
I am not sure that yesterday's message from Budapest is a serious one or not, because I still can't understand what is the real reason of this delay. It's frankly speaking, maybe Wolf, maybe you know something more, but I had. The problem is that I had never heard any single argument, rational argument, of this prolongation of the voting in the Budapest Parliament. It's still something really strange and for the Polish point of view, unacceptable.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said last week that Parliament can ratify Sweden's NATO membership when it convenes for its new spring session later this month, the only remaining parliament in the 31-member alliance yet to do so. Sweden applied to join NATO nearly 2 years ago in a historic shift in policy for the traditionally neutral country, which was prompted by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Lyudmila Navalny, the mother of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who died in prison under unexplained circumstances, has arrived in Salechard to retrieve her son's body. The whereabouts of Navalny's body, however, are still unknown, and Russian investigators have yet to determine the official cause of opposition leader Navalny's death. After news of Navalny's death circulated around the world on Friday, his mother, Lyudmila, wrote on Facebook that she did not want to hear any condolences. We saw him on February the 12th in prison. He was alive, healthy and happy. On Saturday, Lyudmila Navalny appeared in the penal colony. There she learned from an officer that the body was not there and she had to go to the city of Salechard. But when she arrived at the morgue on Saturday, it was closed. This morning, Alexei Navalny's mother and her lawyers were not allowed into the morgue. The investigative committee informed the mother and lawyers that the investigation of the death of Navalny has been extended. They do not say how long it will take. The cause of death is still unknown. They lie, buy time for themselves, and do not even hide it. The case of the death of Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny was raised today by European Union foreign ministers at their monthly meeting in Brussels. The meeting was attended by the Russian opposition figure's widow, Yulia Navalny.
Yulia Navalny, in respect of the death of her late husband, Alexei, and I think her presence here is significant because what has happened reminds us all of the repressive and oppressive nature of the regime in the Russian Federation.
At the very least, we should be talking about sanctions, first of all. We did that in the past. It's a horrible reminder that every time an opposition member is killed in Russia, Europe had sanction packages.
Putin launched this war against Ukraine, and it doesn't look being ready to stop it, by the contrary. So in both fronts, in the political one and in the military one, you have to continue our support to Ukraine.
3 дня назад Владимир Путин убил моего мужа.
3 days ago, Vladimir Putin killed my husband, Alexei Navalny, killed the father of my children. Somewhere in a colony in the far north beyond the Arctic Circle, Putin killed a man. But along with him, he wanted to kill our hopes, our freedom, our future. Alexei's faith was so deep and sincere that he was ready to give his life for it. We will continue his cause for as long as necessary. I address you in the words of Alexei himself, in which he believed very much. It is not a shame to do little. It is a shame to do nothing.
В те годы я была рядом с Алексеем.
Navalny's death reverberated around the world. The day after the news of Navalny's death, rock group U2 chanted the Russian opposition leader's name in Las Vegas. U2 frontman. Palestine's case against Israeli authorities at the International Court of Justice is underway in The Hague. Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki demanded an immediate end to Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories at the start of the hearings today on the legal status of the disputed land at the United Nations top court. More than 50 states will present arguments before the International Court of Justice in The Hague until February the 26th, following a 2022 request from the United Nations General Assembly for an advisory, non-binding opinion on the occupation. Al-Maliki accused Israel of subjecting Palestinians to decades of discrimination and apartheid, accusations Israel has rejected.
The genocide underway in Gaza is a result of decades of impunity and inaction. Ending Israel's impunity is a moral, political, and legal imperative. Successive Israeli governments have given the Palestinian people only 3 options: displacement, subjugation, or death. These are the choices: ethnic cleansing, apartheid, or genocide.
The judges are expected to take several months to deliberate before issuing an opinion. The hearings also touch on Israeli settlements in the West Bank, the annexation of East Jerusalem, and their impact on the creation of a viable Palestinian state. While the outcome of the advisory opinion won't be legally binding, it is expected to carry significant moral authority. Sometimes green technology isn't so green. Yesterday, some 900 tons of lithium batteries caught fire and sent thick, toxic smoke billowing across the countryside at a battery recycling plant in southern France. The fire broke out on Saturday in a warehouse owned by French recycling group SNAM in Viviers, north of Toulouse. Local councillor Pascal Mazet said in a statement on X. Lithium batteries are vital in electrical devices from phones to electric cars, but contain combustible materials which, combined with the energy they store, can make them vulnerable to catching fire when exposed to heat, a potential danger given the toxic materials their burning can emit. The prefecture said in a statement overnight that while the fire was under control, it was burning slowly and was expected to last for several hours. SNAM did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A security note for the site warns that in case of a major fire, products present there were likely to result in the emission of cadmium through fumes. Cadmium is highly toxic and dangerous to the environment. The note said, however, that considering the environment of the factory and the behaviour of the toxic fumes, these should not pose an immediate risk to the health of residents.